Welcome everybody. I'm Lynn Woodland, and this is the third session of a series on miracle making based on my book, Making Miracles, Create New Realities for Your Life and Our World. The book is designed to, in just really easy, gentle ways, cultivate the consciousness that gives rise to miracles. And each session here is going to cover a little bit of the book and include an exercise or a group experiment in miracle making. Now today I wanted to talk about whether we really need to believe in miracles in order to have them manifest in our lives. And I'll start with a story that's from the book. There was a woman once who almost didn't attend a 3-day workshop I was leading on healing, because she was just so emotionally distraught over the loss of her beloved cat just several weeks before. And the cat had escaped the house and hadn't been recovered in spite of just a massive effort by many people to search and poster the whole area. And she was just really deeply in grief over, the loss of her best friend, as she put it. And she wasn't sure she was even fit to be around people, but finally she decided that a 3-day healing retreat would probably do her good. Now, in the very first hour of the workshop, I talked a little bit about miracles, and then I asked people to identify a miracle that they really wanted for themselves that feels too impossibly big to believe it could happen just over the course of a weekend. And now this woman identified the return of her cat as being the biggest, most longed for, and most impossible miracle, because she'd really given up the cat as being dead. Now the second most impossible miracle she identified was to have a healing, to have the severe physical pain and disability she'd been living with ever since a car accident many years earlier healed. And as we were in session, just shortly thereafter, her cell phone rang, and it disturbed the session. She was kind of embarrassed, and she hurriedly turned it off. Then during the break, she checked her messages, and she found that the interruption that happened just really, really shortly after she had that vision of miracles was a call from someone who had just found her cat. Skinny, but alive and well and safe. So miracle number one, boom, minutes. But her miracles didn't stop there, because on the second day of the workshop, she showed up not needing the canes that she'd been using for years. And she even did a little dance for us in the middle of the room to prove it. And all this had happened before we'd even begun the actual hands-on healing work on the weekend. She said it was the first time she'd been pain-free in a decade. And what I found is that miracles don't require time or effort or exercises or even positive thinking. And no amount of studying or training or practice can guarantee a miracle. Yet they can be as simple and accessible as a light daydream. So, as an exercise for this week, what I want to suggest you do is spend the week reflecting on all the miracles that your heart longs for, but you're sure are too big to happen. And let yourself daydream about them. Even especially if you think they're impossible, just let yourself daydream and enjoy the daydream. So that's the end of the actual excerpt from the book that I'm covering today. But I want to keep going. I want to talk a little bit about believing. Believing. It's a big tenet of metaphysical teachings and New Thought teachings that we have to change our beliefs in order to change our reality. And in my experience, that just isn't true. We simply need to imagine, or just be willing to imagine, or to be willing to connect our energy to a group energy, like we are here, and in the way that I set forth in my book, where I actually turn every reader into a virtual group by suggesting that as you go through the exercises, that you imagine connecting with every mind of everyone who has in the past, who is in the present, and who will in the future read or experience these words in some way. Group energy is a great way to raise people out of doubts and limitations long enough to let a new result happen. Now, while beliefs are certainly important, and changing beliefs really does shift our outer reality, it simply isn't the only route. Changing a belief system really can feel like climbing Mount Everest. I've seen people struggle with this and work on changing their beliefs and work on changing their thoughts and just then kind of beat themselves up because they're thinking the wrong thoughts and feeling like they're canceling out all their good work. It can become really a downward spiral. And we don't even need to go there in order to see results shift. As hard as changing beliefs can feel like sometimes, a free, easy daydream, or getting swept up in the collective wave-like energy created by a group, or both of these, can happen in the blink of an eye. It can just happen easily, gently. It doesn't feel like a lot of work. It doesn't feel like a big struggle. So here's a little exercise for right now. Just close your eyes for a moment and take a deep breath. Just inhale deeply. And exhale just as deeply. And take a moment to let your attention turn inward. Let your body relax completely. Let your attention shift from the day-to-day of life to something greater. Imagine yourself to be part of something bigger than your body, your thoughts, your history. Imagine there's a part of you that is spirit, that is energy, that is light. And as you make that shift, you actually start leaving the density of matter, the limitation of the physical world behind, and you enter another realm. A realm where all things are possible. You don't even need to believe this. Just imagine what it would feel like if you did. And just imagine that you can connect in energy, in light, in love, in vibration with every other mind listening to these words. People present now, people who will view this recording, because we know that consciousness can really transcend the limitations of time and space. We know that from the research of the outer realms of science. So just imagine joining with all those minds. And imagine this joining is a wonderful wave that just lifts you into new possibilities that weren't available before. And again, you don't need to believe this. Just imagine it. Imagine what it would feel like if you did believe beyond a shadow of a doubt. That something's shifting, something is possible now that wasn't before. And ask yourself, if you could manifest a miracle this week, what would you want? Something for you, something that is of your heart's desire, your highest heart's desire. In fact, what seems too impossibly good to manifest this week? And just bring that to mind. Just very gently, very lightly. Don't try to make it come true in your mind. And after all, it's impossible. So don't get attached. Don't get too serious about it. You don't have to wish for it with all your heart. Don't worry about it. Don't even look for it to happen. Just let yourself have a little daydream of what it would be like to have this miracle just boom right here, right now. Just play in this daydream. Enjoy it. This is just for fun, just to entertain yourself. So you're imagining it lightly, you're walking around in it. Don't strain your brain or take it too seriously. You don't have to believe it can happen. Just enjoy it. And then let it go. I always say, just imagine as light as a butterfly that lit on your hand, and boom, you let it fly away just as easily. And if you do want to think about this daydream again, do it in the same way that you'd recall a beautiful walk in the park, so that the experience of it just fills you up, it makes you smile. And then again, let it go. Don't look for it to happen, don't get attached. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the daydream. And then just take a deep breath. And open your eyes. Then just let that exercise go. Just forget about it. Just forget about it. And now, if you'd like to read the whole book, Making Miracles, we're just going to do some little bits and pieces of it here. If you want to read the whole thing, it's available through Amazon. It's also available through my publisher, Namaste Publishing. I always say, if you've got a favorite bookstore, go look for it there. If you can't find it, order it, because bookstores are kind of a dying breed. I think it's always a nice thing to keep a bookstore in business. But it's easy to find online or not. Now this book study is going to continue for 5 more weeks, and people can join in anytime. You can come for one or all of them. And I offer a number of other programs online as well. I'm doing most of my teaching that way these days. And the next major program I have coming up is my year-long Miracles course. And this program accepts students quarterly at the beginning of each session. Now the summer session that starts June 1st is all about receiving the abundance of life. We work with abundance in the summer because it's really in keeping with what's happening in the natural world of everything's growing and coming to fruition. And the season, the quarter, addresses issues like manifesting our dreams. We work a lot with the spiritual principles of manifestation. We work a lot with some of the ways we limit our receiving. So we look at receiving and why we might resist it, and how to reach out for help, because that's hard for a lot of us too, and how to let life become easy instead of a struggle, how to just move into ease, how to shift paradigms so that things can happen more easily. Because I think a lot of this kind of work, the kind of thing we did today, it isn't supposed to be work. It's supposed to be just very easy. And I think where a lot of the New Thought literature and a lot of the books on the law of attraction and exercises and teachings break down is that it starts to become very serious and very hard work. And whenever we feel like our brain is straining around this kind of spiritual work, we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. We're creating energetically something that is counterproductive. So it's all about tapping into the spirit of lightness, having it be fun, having it be gentle. But anyway, the year-long program, if this is something that's of interest to you, it involves weekly live classes with me, one-on-one assistance from the 3 faculty members who work with the program, and a lot of written materials. And the whole course, it just provides a very gentle, persistent nudge in the direction of your highest good. So things just start to unfold very effortlessly and easily. And it also leads to ordination for anyone wanting that credentialing. So the first live class of the summer quarter is always free. It's coming up June 3rd. And if that's something you'd like to participate in, you can find the registration for that on my website, which is lynnwoodland.com. So I'll open it up to see if anyone, unmuting everybody now, just to see if anybody has a question about anything or anything you'd like to share, anything at all.
Hello.
Hi, is this April?
It is.
Hi, April.
Hi there, Lynn. No, I'm just in a very receptive mood, and I read the book when it first came out, and I'm enjoying getting back in touch, spiritually speaking, with some of the principles that are highlighted in the book, and I'm just open right now to doing the exercises and just being reminded of putting myself in that expansive awareness where miracles take place.
Well, do keep coming back and sharing what happens, because you can't do that for long without seeing things popping. I've found. Well, thank you.
So glad you're there. So glad this is a perfect time of day. It's the dinner hour in the East Coast. It's nice time to have a little interlude to just be attuned in the spiritual sense.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad it's working for you. Yeah, we have a lot of people who are signed up to receive the recordings, and I realized, it's dinner hour. It might not have been the best time for everyone. So I'm glad it's working for you. Good. Anyone else want to share anything before we call it a night? And I know it's always hard to just speak out kind of anonymously in this format. But thank you all for being here. I know there's a number of you who are here live, and I thank you for giving up your dinner hour for this. So, until next week, come on back, and blessings to you all. Have a great week, and namaste. Happy miracle making. Good night.
Good night.